becoming a colonel, I mean, that's up there. That's like where people, you're walking in and people are standing up, right, and
Oh yeah.
saluting. I mean, that's So you had said something. You said something earlier that I wanted to touch on, which is funny. It was a question I was going to ask you. Now, as a Latina, not only Latina, but as a Latina woman, right? Uh, Rising to colonel, what obstacles did you face inside the military culture? Was it, and what year was this, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I came in 1980, and if
Okay,
you
so yeah, so all right, so
one of my cousins or aunts is a retired detective from Los Angeles. So she came
mhm,
in almost the same time I did. She was one of the first women to be like a plainclothes detective. So we
mhm,
compared stories as she climbed the rank and I climbed the ranks. We
mhm,
compared stories, and they were very similar because, again, there were few women. 1980, there were very few women. Matter of fact, the first assignment I had was to a flying fighter squadron, and there were
mhm.
all male fighter pilots there. Women could not be fighter pilots back then. And I was the first female officer assigned. You could imagine what that environment was like.
Right. Now you had mentioned, reading that you've spoken openly about military sexual trauma. So
Well, I've written a
what?
whole book about it.
No, well,
So,
that's what. Well, yes, we're going to get into that as well. But I'm saying, um, when you mention that, what does that look like to Lisa at the time? What to you when you say because everybody has different opinions and aspects. Um, was that a common occurrence, and what did that entail? If you don't mind,
yeah.
touching on
Well,
that.
I, I never really talked about this particular aspect of my service. I always talked about the great leadership, the command opportunities,
We're
all
gonna
that
get
stuff.
into everything, but I'm
No,
just
no, but what
saying.
I'm saying is I didn't openly talk about this particular issue till late 2020. It was time for me to address my own trauma with sexual assault my combat time, my
Mhm,
experiences. So late 2020, really 2021, I started really talking more about it than writing about it. But yeah, so what happened to me is in initial training, like basic training for
mhm,
officers, I was sexually assaulted at initial training. And again, there were very few women,
mhm.
and it was by an instructor. So this is a person who had extreme authority and power over me. I mean, I was a nobody. I
Mhm.
was an officer trainee. I mean, you're lower than dirt, pretty much, right?
Right.
And so it was a very big power differential. And so I was assaulted, but I didn't say anything. I kept it all inside. I buried it. I became really good at compartmentalization.
Right.
I wanted so badly to be an officer, and so I just buried it. And I really believe to this day that if I had spoken up back then, I would have been kicked out. I never would have made it out of the training to even be a lieutenant. That's how deeply entrenched this kind of stuff was, especially back then. And then my first
Right.
assignment
Right.
at this
And you're
fighter
talking the
squadron.
80s. I'm
Oh
sorry,
yeah,
I didn't cut you. In the 80, it was a different time. Now,
oh,
forget
it's a
it.
different time. Matter of fact, there wasn't even you couldn't even go to anybody and report this. There wasn't a
Right.
whole mechanism and laws against sexual harassment wasn't even against the UCMJ, the Uniform
Right.
Code of Military Justice. I mean, so my first assignment was full of harassment, discrimination, and I'm talking both gender and my ethnicity as well. I would say that the
Mhm,
gender was worse than the being a Latina. You know what I mean? As
mhm.
far as the discrimination and the jokes, and it's a toxic environment. I mean, they still had penthouse centerfolds on the walls.
Right.
Okay, what
Right.
we used to call beaver shots or whatever you want to call it, right?
All right.
I'll never
Well,
forget
you were kind of
walking.
in like a good old boys world. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
they had a bar in the organization, the squadron, that had a
Mhm.
urinal on with beer on tap. I mean, that was set
Oh,
up that way. Okay, so
right.
so they, back in those days, you played hard, you drank hard, you worked hard, right?
Right.
And those were the days of wife swapping and all kinds of strange things going on.